Today, we are going to be talking about the A of aspect, which is going to be alignment. So, the core idea behind alignment is that there is a process and there is a goal. And everything that we do in our process should be in alignment with achieving our goal. Even though alignment has this core idea, it will look very different based off of the context in which it's being used. But it'll always still have that process and goal mentality behind it. Now, everything that we do, every action we take, is always going to be in alignment with our goal. And that means that they should always be very intentional. And we want to make sure that things that aren't in alignment with our goal are questioned. We want to figure out, like, what is that doing here? How can it actually help us achieve what we want to achieve? Okay. So we're going to start off with using an example, a metaphor, you could say, of the arrow. And this is because I do archery on the side outside of league, and an arrow has a particular goal as well. And the goal is simply to fly from a bow and pierce a target, whether it's an animal or, during target shooting. And really, this is the main purpose of an arrow. And when we think about the components of the arrow, this is going to be the process part of alignment. So the first thing we'll look at when we look at an arrow is the nock. And the nock is important, very important, because we cannot shoot the arrow if we don't have the nock, because the nock is used to latch onto the string. Very basic, very simple, but very important. And then if we look at the fletchings is what allows the arrow to kind of fly smoother, and helps with the aerodynamics and stuff like that. Then we look at the shaft, which is the long part of the arrow. This is what holds all of the other parts of the arrows together. And the height of the arrow can actually kind of dictate how long the arrow can stay in the air. So people usually use shorter arrows when they're trying to shoot at like 70 meters. They'll use smaller arrow shafts, and they'll also use smaller fletchings as well. And then the last thing is going to be the point, the bullet point. And the bullet point is used to pierce the target, right? If we don't have the bullet point, then it's very unlikely that it's going to do anything, even if it does reach the target. So the cool thing is that every part of the arrow serves a purpose. Everything is in alignment. And there is no arrow if we don't have all of these components together. So we can even take this one step further as well, when we kind of visualize what the arrow is a part of, right? So if we want to shoot the arrow, we need the bow. The bow needs to have a string. It also needs to have a rest for the arrow to lay on. And we also want to ensure that there is an archer, so that way we can actually shoot the bow, right? Or I guess you could use a robot if you'd like, but unlikely. So then all of these things work together with the arrow to make the arrow fly from the bow to pierce the target. But if you want to think about, will the arrow actually hit what we want to hit? That is where more alignment stuff comes into play, and this is where form comes into play. Form is what creates the consistency and the accuracy of our shooting, right? So our form works together with the bow and the arrow to get high scores. That is the general idea, but everything works together, everything makes sense, and then you can even deep dive into form by itself and learn about all of the alignment stuff that's happening with our body when we shoot the bow. Now, this is kind of like the general idea behind how alignment works, right? It has this process and it has this goal. And again, the context is going to make it look a little bit different, but the core idea remains the same. So the context that we're going to be using in terms of League is going to be in terms of personal growth and our ability to actually improve our playstyle and reference points for when we're in game, ensuring that the decisions we make kind of make sense for what we're trying to accomplish. And then team and map awareness, so that way we are kind of knowing what our role is with the team and aligning ourselves with the game holistically. So when it comes to personal growth, one very important question that we should ask ourselves first is what kind of players we want to become. A lot of different players have different goals and different ideas and different reasons for playing the game. Some are very competitive while others are very, casual, right? But no matter why you're playing League, I think it's always nice to have some sort of outcome goals or performance goals, right? So outcome goals are goals that are things that aren't necessarily in your control, right? So kind of like rank goals, if you want to hit diamond or gold or platinum or whatever, those would be outcome goals. While performance goals are more towards building character. This is how we kind of work towards becoming the type of player we want to become. So we come up with learning objectives that are in alignment with that. These are very general, so they're not particularly specific. They can be things like wanting to improve your jungle clearing, or I want to improve my map awareness, or my CSing, or my team fighting, or whatever. Very general, but how we actually work towards those performance goals are with process goals. And these are the actionable steps that we use to achieve our performance goals. These are very small, these are very specific, and they're always going to be in alignment with our performance goals. So if we want to improve our map awareness, then we would want to come up with some sort of system, so that way whenever we get into game, it's like, this is how we're going to improve our map awareness. We're going to look at the minimap every single time we go for a minion or a last hit, or we're going to look at the minimap every time we're about to hit the tower, right? So they're very specific, very actionable. But something that's also very, very important is ensuring that we are focused and that we are doing things with intention. So when we're trying to come up with a process and we create a process, we want to make sure that we're also as focused and intentional about our decisions as possible. Now, there are many reasons why you might lose focus. It can be things that are completely unrelated to League. You lost your job or someone died, right? Like, it's hard to kind of maintain a focus like that. So, but it also comes down to the amount of games that you play as well. And the more games you play, the less focused you get. So usually 3 games are about where we can stay pretty focused for all 3 of them. And then after that, our focus begins to decline. And there are going to be exceptional players who can play 15 games a day and be completely fine. But for the most part, if we want to maximize our focus, our intention, and our improvements, and really work towards achieving our goals, then we want to be as focused as possible. Okay? And this means that if we're going to play 15 games a day, that we take around like a 30-minute break in between, and then we can go play another 3. 30 minutes to an hour, right? Just to kind of give your brain time to settle. Especially since League is a very emotional game. Next up, we're going to kind of talk about our playstyle and reference points. So when we're creating a setup, and what I mean by setup is our kind of like our champions, our runes, items, stuff like that. That it kind of makes sense. It at least makes sense towards the playstyle that we want to achieve or play towards. So if we're playing an electrocute champion, runes really do define the playstyle, right? if we're playing Electrocute Syndra, we're going to be playing the game differently than how we would play if we went Comet. And how we play with Comet is going to look different than how we play with Airy, which will look different depending on if we went First Strike. So understanding the purpose of our setup is really important, in that we align everything that we do with our champion. And then those will become certain reference points. So runes are really nice reference points on how you want to trade, for instance. But depending on our champion has their own kind of idea of how they want to play the game. Some of them are really good early game and they want to fight, while others are really bad early game and they just want to scale and kill minions. Some are really good at taking objectives, while others are really good at fighting, right? So champions want to accomplish different things, and if we can find their reference points, we can use this to guide our decision making in game. And our decision making is the process of our games. It's the process that leads us towards achieving our goal, right? And the reference points and learning objectives, those are the goals when it comes to playing style. Is every decision that we make is helping us achieve our goals, which is our learning objective and reference points. Next up is going to be the team and map awareness. So usually we want to be thinking about what the team game plan might be and what objectives they might be playing for, or what plays they might be going for that might require our attention. So if we know what our team is playing for, we need to also ask ourselves what our role is in the play. And, you know, we see this yet again, that our role in it is the process, and what our team is playing for is the goal. You know, when they have an objective, or they're going for an invade or a dive or whatever, we need to think and ask ourselves, how do we play into it? You know, what can we do to make our teammates' lives easier? And, you know, it can really help us feel a lot less alone when we kind of have an idea of how our champions want to play the game and what they want to do. Because again, every champion has their own reference points. And if we understand our teammates' champions' reference points, it'll make a lot more sense as to why they do certain things. And sometimes our actions are not in alignment with how they want to play the game. So that's where the frustrations will come into play. A good example of this is when it comes to junglers. You know, there are different styles of junglers with different types of game plans. And typically, there are 3 styles, which are the ganking, there are farming junglers, and then there are some like skirmishy, like invading junglers, right? So if you have a farming jungler on your team, you shouldn't really be expecting them to gank. And this can really help you form a game plan where you can try and bait the enemy jungler into ganking you, so that way your teammates can farm without much repercussion, or you can just choose to never be gankable and your farming jungler isn't worried about falling behind. But if you're playing with a ganking jungler, then you would want to kind of create opportunities for them so that way they can actually do it. But you also have to remember that their game plan might be to gank a different lane. You know, they look at the lane setups everywhere, and even if you're getting pushed in all the time, it just might not be gankable because maybe your champions in that lane aren't in alignment with their champion. So it would be difficult to execute. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be reviewing one of my games. And this is what we're going to be looking for. So we're going to be asking ourselves, like, what are my learning objectives in that review at the time? And am I playing in alignment with, you know, all of my setups and reference points and whatnot? And how well am I playing with my team? So we're going to pull up the game here. And in this game, I am playing Lucian Nami against Varus Mel. And I have a Shyvana jungle against a Lilia jungle. And if you take a look at my setup here, I have First Strike and Sorcery. With First Strike, I took the Scorch and Mana Flow ban. And then if we look at my Nami, she went Ignite and she went Airy. And we also went Barrier Flash as well. Now we want to consider a few things, which is our jungler. Our jungler is playing a farming jungler. And the enemy jungler is also playing a farming jungler. And they have very low gank threat on us, bot lane. So once we get into game, we're going to be paying attention to where Shyvana starts and where Lilia starts, if possible. Next, we're going to talk about our 2v2 matchup. So if we look at the reference points of all of our runes, Mel and Varus are trying to poke us, so they don't want to take damage. They want to play at their max ranges, and they're trying to whittle us down. While we are trying to do short trades with them and play around our cooldowns. And I need to not get hit so that way I can apply my First Strike. And I need to play around the Nami E because that is what's going to give me the most damage. We do not want to take extended trades because we are very ability oriented during the laning phase. And First Strike is not it's not a precision rune, so it's not going to be extended trades. So now we have some basic ideas of how we want to play the lane out, where we want to play around our First Strike, we want to play around our cooldowns, we want to not get hit by poke, and if we do get hit by poke, we want to trade damage, so we're not taking damage for free. We have 2 farming junglers, and we just need to pay attention to where they start and get an idea of where they're going to go. So once we get into game here, first thing I do is I ward I guess my Nami wards. So this is kind of in alignment with how we want to play our matchup, because bush control is going to be really important and we don't want them to get to wave first, because for range versus range matchups in terms of supports, we really want to get push. Okay, so let's just use this as a reference point. We want to get push in our lane. And then when it comes to trading, we want to take short trades. And we want to play around our First Strike. And we want to play around Nami E. So let's take a look at how well we do this. I might do it very well or I might do it very poorly. Well, let's take a look. So we come into lane. Because we warded, we know they're in the bush. We don't want to take extended trades, so we do a W double auto. I unfortunately was not able to apply my First Strike because they hit me first. And now I'm doing the second thing, which is I'm trying to play for push. So you can see me auto attacking the wave a lot. And then I don't use my W here. Why? Because look at my First Strike cooldown. If I use my W, my First Strike will come off cooldown, but my W will be gone. So I won't be able to apply my First Strike very easily. So I wait. And then once I have my W or my First Strike, I look to use it. I miss it. Feels bad. But you can still see I'm trying to play for push, so I'm auto attacking the wave as much as I can. But they still hit level 2 first. Unfortunately, but Mel did not flash on me, so I did not have to burn flash there. And now we are just trying to farm under tower. Now that I have my E available, again, I should wait for my First Strike and play around the Nami E. I did not wait for my First Strike, but I did play with the Nami E, so I kind of achieved half of that. And now we play for push again. We're just auto attacking, getting our minions. Now, one of my learning objectives in this game I had 3 learning objectives in this game. The first one was to minimize my deaths. So I really did not want to die this game. The other learning objective I had was to maximize gold. So I want to not die, but maximize gold. And then the last thing that I was trying to do is bait jungle. So this is all stuff that I learned from Saber on YouTube when he did his do not interact guide, where you minimize a lot of your deaths. And this is where we're going to go into the process goals, right? So if we want to minimize our deaths, what we want to do is we do not interact with mid and top. Now, specify solo laners, but I'm just going to say anyone that is stronger than us, we do not want to fight with, unless our team is fighting them as well. Okay, so we don't want to 1v1 Zed this game. We don't want to 1v1 Warwick. And if the enemy bot lane is really strong, we don't want to 1v1 them either. Okay, so this is how we can kind of minimize our deaths. And when it comes to maximizing gold, we want to secure as many last hits as possible, right? And if we stay at higher HP, then we can more safely get more minions. But more importantly is that we always want to push waves before moving. Now this is going to be extremely important for our CS numbers, because a lot of people are pretty good at last hitting nowadays. But when it comes to actually getting high CS numbers, what tends to happen is we move to a lot of fights that we shouldn't be moving towards, and we lose minions from that. Or we mess up our wave states or in our wave management, and we lose minions because of a freeze by taking a bad recall, right? But this is something specific towards me, where because my recalling is like fine, my wave management is fine, I wanted to ensure that I don't get baited by my team and lose minions for free. And then the last one, which is baiting enemy jungle, it's just identifying the threat. And once I know where the enemy jungle is, I can use my summoner spells and mobility to escape the gank. So those are my 3 learning objectives. And those are also kind of my reference points as well. It's going to help me guide my decision making in this game. So don't fight Zed, don't fight Warwick unless there are teammates near me or they're fighting them first. Don't move before crashing waves. Always push waves before moving. And bait enemy jungle into ganking us, so that way our jungler has a good time. Now when we think about alignment with our team, we want to pay attention that Shyvana is pathing away from us, which means that if we want to play in alignment with her, we want to make sure we don't die to a Lilia gank while she's doing her stuff topside. But we also kind of want to bait her in. And then with the Nami wants to buff me up, right? So when she plays offensively like that, I want to kind of match how she's playing. But now she's playing a little too offensively because, again, remember our alignment with short trades. We want to take short trades. We dump our abilities and we run away. That's our game plan. Now, if Nami wants to fight them, she can fight them. But we're not going to get baited. We're not going to die. And we don't want to kill ourselves for our support's mistakes. Something I could have done potentially is maybe ping the Nami back, so that way maybe I could have influenced her not to play so offensively. But it is what it is. We didn't die. We got our minions. So we're already moving towards our learning objective. Now when we look at topside, our Shyvana is fighting the Warwick right now. And my support is coming into bot lane. And I know they are low on mana, and I have the damage to kind of kill them. because I have barrier and I have the Nami heal and then E. So I stay with her. And then I look for the kill. I miscalculated my mana. But I play with my support. I'm waiting for Nami's W. And then I go in. Very smooth. I don't want to just run at them in a straight line because I have no cooldowns to do so. So I let the Nami tank for a little bit. And then I use the heal to kill the Varus. And I'm doing this because I know they don't have the mana. Could I have played it better? Probably. You feel free to critique my Lucian gameplay as much as you want. So now, as we recall, we come back onto the map. We pay attention to our Shyvana. She's taking Gromp. She might want to do another full clear. But our game plan remains the same, where we just want to kill our minions. We don't want to die to Zed. And we want to play in alignment with our Nami's cooldowns. So if we look at the mini-map though, we see Shyvana is doing a big wraparound, and it looks like they want to play for Dragon. So this is going to be some team alignment stuff. What is my role in this Dragon take? One, I need to get the wave push before I can move. So that's going to be the first goal. The first objective is to push the wave and then help my team with the Dragon. But Varus is stepping mad up. So then I chase him down with the team. I flash on him. And then my team wants to take Dragon. So I try and push the wave as fast as possible so I can go help out. Only problem is this wave isn't going to crash smoothly. So if I were to move, I might lose minions. So then this is where you are in kind of a fork in the road. You can choose to push the next wave and get your minions, which is aligning with our learning objective, which is to always push before moving. Or we can sacrifice this learning objective for something that is more specific towards this game, where we help our team. We're compromising our learning objective, but we are potentially making a better decision, right? Where now that we help our Shyvana with Dragon, we are more guaranteed to get it in case people rotate. But because I was very focused on learning this game, I focused the wave. Now, the bigger mistake that I made was that I didn't commit to either. I was thinking, oh, I can rotate, but I kind of don't want to. So I wasted like 10 seconds of doing nothing when I should have just hard committed to the wave or hard committed to the Dragon. So, that's the mistake that I made here. And my team is very mad at me because I'm not helping them with the Dragon. It is what it is. But the second I hit the wave, I kind of have to commit to it now. So then I rotate. My teammates are kind of dying. And you can definitely blame this on me for not being here sooner, because I'm pretty sure if I was there, this would have been a lot smoother of a fight, a way smoother Dragon take, and my Shyvana wouldn't have died. But in terms of my own reference points and long-term learnings, I'm happy. I didn't die. I got my minions. I shoved before moving. Right? So a lot of things were in alignment with me. So we take those. Now, as this game continues, one thing we want to keep in mind is alignment isn't just about doing something. It is also about not doing things, right? So we want to pay attention to what's happening on the map. Our team is hard winning topside, which means that if nothing happens bot side, we're kind of winning. So I could look to go 1v1 the Lucian or the Varus just because I feel like it. But if there's a chance of me dying to do so, it's not worth it. And now as the enemy team are respawning, they might look to like path bot side. But once my Nami gets here, then we can play the game. Right? So now if we look at the map, this is like kind of sketchy because you know, Lilia might be here. Zed could rotate. And our mid laner is not in mid lane yet, and our jungler is top side. So if we're playing it in alignment with our team, we don't necessarily need to do too much. But one of my goals is to bait the enemy jungler. So they don't have a lot of threat because Varus isn't level 6 yet and I have my dash. So I could look to potentially bait jungle. I did a very bad E. It was not ideal. And now I can potentially die to Lilia. So I try to push the wave as fast as possible. And then Varus hits 6 and I immediately run away. But I'm going to keep them interested. And then the second I see Lilia, I just E away and I ult her to get her away from us. And then we call it a day. So I successfully baited the enemy jungler. And now you can see the repercussions of that. Shyvana is now taking Lilia's top side. And I just created an opportunity for my teammates. And, you know, I go for a little bit of a trade there because I have the Nami E, right? It makes sense for the playstyle. I didn't have first strike though, unfortunately. But now we just play the game slow, right? League isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. So I should not be looking to lose my HP, and I should not be looking to trade right now because I'm weak side. I then see Lilia bot side. So now we have perfect information. Looks like Varus kind of just ulties in. So I do a short trade. I have less threat on me. But now I'm just chilling. Right? I'm losing some HP. I try and bait the Lilia in. Take my recall. Go back bot lane. Again, pay attention to where the team is. Right now, the game does not revolve around me. So my support is not with me. My jungler is not with me. That means that I just need to chill. Take it slow until I see more people show up on the map. I ping the Mel for my teammates. And now I know it's a 1v1. And then Varus just like leaves bot lane for some reason. And just tries roaming mid lane. I can't say I'm too big of a fan of that. So I take a tower plate and then I see Zed. And this is another, right? We're trying to minimize our deaths. And the way that we do that is by not interacting with Zed. Okay? So now the second I see Zed, I just sprint away. I'm not even trying to do nothing. I don't even care about the minions anymore. I'm trying to minimize my deaths, and then I see him W, and now all of his threat just went away. So then I turn around. So I'm kind of breaking the rule there, but I had Nami, and he had no threat because he had no W. But now for the rest of this, again, League isn't about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. I have all of my summoners available. I could look to outplay the Zed here, right? I auto attack him, auto Q, double auto. He ults me, I flashes, there's a triple Q, I align all my ultis, I barrier his damage, right? There's probably like 100 different ways I could outplay him here, but why do I need to do that? Me going for a play here is not in alignment with anything. It's not in alignment with my learning objectives, it's not in alignment with Lucian, it's not in alignment with our team and what's going on with the map. Even killing Zed here doesn't accomplish anything, okay? So, we're not going to do that. I don't know why I'm so far up. I think I'm waiting for him to use his W. I don't know. This is kind of psycho. Or I think I was trying to make him pretend that Nami's... I don't know. That was really psychopath. It was not in alignment with anything whatsoever. And then I'm like trying to solo kill him or something. Oh, God. Okay, we're chilling. So I try and hard shove the wave because he's missing. And then I run away. I sit in a bush in case the Lilia shows up. And I look to catch the Lilia. And then I get slept. And then we call it a day. I help my homies out with the dragon. And then I push bot wave because, again, we're trying to maximize our farm. Zed shows up, so we run away. Right? We're just trying to practice our learning objective, minimize our deaths. But then I see a blue buff. I take blue buff. I come back bot lane. And I just wait for the wave to come into me. I'm not doing anything, right? Our teammates are doing things. I don't want to create chaos for no reason. And then Zed shows up, I run away, and then now I outplay him. Why? Because he forced on me, and I have a tower. Very easy. So, you know, usually if you try not to die, the enemies end up killing themselves instead. So, now I'm finally back mid lane with my Nami. And I'm trying to get to second item. I'm trying to get to rapid fire cannon. Because once I get to rapid fire cannon, that's when I can play on mid waves a lot more aggressively and look to poke with my E double shots. Take a look at what our teammates are doing. Kind of get forced on. Nami gets to deflect. Shyvana shows up. Mrs. R happens. We're just trying to collect our minions, hit the tower, play with our team, not die, get our rapid fire. Well, this is a little bit scary. Oh, if Zed shows up, we have really good vision though. Our teammates are kind of insane. Teammates are fighting. We can go interact. It's a little bit scary. Nah, we're chilling. Teammates fight. And then I almost die here, trying to interact with Warwick. And I don't have the Nami with me. But I have my flash and I have my dash, so we're chilling. You know, we want to play differently based off of what resources we have. You know, we play in alignment with when we have cooldowns and when we don't have cooldowns. So now that I have my double shot, I need the Nami. But if my Nami doesn't want to play with me, that's fine. I just need to play differently. So I can't play on mid waves as much as I want to, unless I have the Nami buff. So I can rather like ping assistance with the Nami, or I can just let her do her own thing. And I think I lost some trust from some level 2 stuff. So I think she like isn't particularly a fan of me this game. So that's fine. But that is going to be it for this review. I hope some takeaways that you got from this is that, you know, League isn't about making the perfect decisions all of the time, because that's very, very difficult to do. And especially executing the decisions that you make. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to build the ability to identify our goals and reference points and play in alignment with them. And when we choose to make certain decisions, that we really play towards it. When we play a certain champion with a certain setup, that we're playing towards that type of play style. And that we're also always having a learning objective whenever we go into a game. So that way we can always review our games like this and look back and kind of get an idea of how well we achieved it. And we don't have to do a super long review, right? You can look at your kills and your deaths and just get a general idea of how well you were working towards your learning objectives. So this game, I would give myself a 7.9 out of 10 in terms of playing in alignment with my learnings. I didn't die at all this game, so that was a huge bonus. I got some minions. I baited the enemy jungler one time, so maybe I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe the executions could have been a little bit better. Maybe I should have helped with Dragon that one time. But overall, it was a pretty good game. So I encourage you to really ask yourself what kind of player you want to become, and then go from there. Every outcome goal, every performance goal, and every process goal that you make should all be in alignment towards becoming the type of player that you want to become. And I hope after today we can apply alignment in more than just League, as that is the goal of Aspect. Feel free to join my Discord down below if you would like to join classes. I really do put a big emphasis on mentality and process, as I believe that is what makes League the most fun. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Goodbye.